Phenomenal followers, friends, and family.
Welcome back to Young Black Married Christian Podcast.
Now, we know you fall into one of those categories. You may fall into some of those categories. But even if you fall into none of those categories, we promise you that over the next few minutes, we'll give you 4 to 5 tips to fortify the future of your marriage.
Now listen, we know you're short on time and we know you're short on data, but do us a favor. If you can't make it all the way through the podcast, click the download button that's attached to the podcast and take us with you throughout your day.
Now, there's a lot to get into, but we're going to do it for you.
We are your hosts, LaShad and Doriana James, from all the way down in San Antonio, Texas, working hard to make sure your spouse doesn't become one of your exes.
Let's get started.
So, hey, phenomenal family, we have a very, very, very special guest for you today. This is a topic that's really important to me, so please don't just read the title and think this is one you want to skip. Today, we're talking about home ownership, home buying, real estate. This is very, very, very important. No matter what category you fall into, if you're listening to this right now, you need to know this information that we're sharing with you. And we don't want to just share it ourselves. We actually have a special guest with us. We have Mr. Chris Winstead. He's been a realtor for over a year now. He has a lot of expertise. His mentor was also in real estate as well, so he has that generational wisdom. You know how that generational wisdom. Married for 3 years, has an 18-month-old, and so he knows probably where you're at in your relationship. If you're have a new relationship that's less than 5 years, or you have a newborn. And so he's here to help us out. So Chris, can you say hello to the Phenomenal family?
What's up, Phenom-ily? Thank you for having me.
The Phenom-ily. See, he agrees. It's a good thing. It's a good name.
It saves time.
It does save time.
Oh,
it's
man.
equitable.
Oh man. I
like that.
You got everyone saying Phenom-ily. Okay. So I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump straight into it. So the process of buying a house seems super complicated for people who haven't done it. It seems like something you do when you turn 37, or 40 or something like that. Not that that's old, but it seems like something you want to put off until you're much, much older. So Chris, if you had to simplify the process of what is the process of buying a house for somebody who doesn't know anything about it?
It's super simple. It's not scary at all. So you want to find a realtor. Go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, ask your friends and family, who's a realtor, who knows a realtor. They're going to match you up with a mortgage lender. That's a bank that's going to let you borrow the money. They're going to run your numbers and see what they can pre-qualify you for. That's basically a gift card. You get a gift certificate for X amount of dollars, and then you go shopping for a home. If you like what you can buy with that, then you buy it. If you don't, you ask the mortgage lender, hey, I like this type of house for X amount of dollars. What do we have to do to get there? And then you make a plan and you get to work.
That seems simple.
It does.
Yes.
So if I see a $120,000 home, I mean, and this might sound simple or obvious, I don't need $120,000 to get that home.
Correct.
And so this might be a second question. How much do I need? And this might be a question for maybe the mortgage lender, but in general, when you're coaching people on their first time buying a house, and how much money do I need to have in a bank account today to pay for your service or pay for this whole process to get the keys to get into the house? What does that look like? What does that upfront cost?
So first of all, buying a home is free from a realtor's perspective. You don't pay me. The seller of the home pays the realtor on both ends of the transaction, the buyer and the seller's agent. Now, you would like to have 3% down, but there are also down payment assistance programs that you can qualify for.
And that's 3% of the selling price of the home. So 3% down, okay?
Correct.
Nice.
But again, there are down payment assistance programs that you don't have to pay back. There's grants. The mortgage lender will see where you're at, where your credit score is, what demographic you fall under. It could also be where your profession. If you're a teacher, there are also teacher grants as well, right? So really, it's just taking that first step. To see where you're at, assess the situation. The first step's the hardest step, and we're all afraid of it. But once you take that first step, you know what to do after that.
Yeah. Okay, so question. You mentioned go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and kind of ask your friends for a realtor. Why do you suggest that instead of a Google search?
Well, because you're a friend of a friend, and they're going to treat you differently.
Ooh, yes.
Rather than someone that, you found me on Google and my phone number, and you're here, okay, another transaction, yes, I get my commission.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you're Susie's granddaughter's friend. Awesome, okay, yeah, I helped Susie 5 years ago, and now XYZ.
Like it. Awesome.
So, and normally whenever people talk about real estate, there's a lot of jargon and a lot of words, equity, escrow, down payment, and these are words that you feel guilty if you don't know them, right? Yes. So what are some words that you think that you'd want to expose us to that we should know going into the process of buying a house?
Awesome. So equity is a big one. So when you hear the word equity, think of your money. Okay. For simple math, let's say we buy a $150,000 home, but the home is actually worth $180,000, $160,000. You already have equity in the home, meaning the house is worth more than you already paid for it.
Yeah.
Now, as you go along through the years making your mortgage payment, the house value, if you have the right realtor, they'll get you a home that will appreciate, but your mortgage payment will stay the same, and you'll start chipping away at the money you owe on the home.
Yes.
And eventually, 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be, you sell that house, you pay off the bank, and whatever's left is yours.
That's the equity.
That is the equity. And you can use that equity, that cash, to use as a down payment for your next bigger and better home, because maybe your family is growing, or maybe you just want to sell the house and go back to an apartment and use that equity to start a business, to go on vacation, a college fund for your kids, whatever the case may be, but your money is better spent growing in your home rather than sitting in your bank account.
Okay, now slow down here.
Yes.
Money is better spent going into your home instead of growing in your bank account. Go through that again. So why? Just go through it one more time.
Yes.
How would you explain it to somebody? Because somebody right now, they may be in an apartment and they're saving money. They're they're putting away $500, here or there, and now you're saying that you can actually make an investment. It sounds like you're saying that you can make an investment in real estate.
Correct.
What does that look like?
So if you're paying rent, that money is gone. You can pay rent for 10 years, and on the last day of you living in that apartment complex, they're not going to give you a check. You can live in a home and pay the same amount monthly or even less. After 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever the number may be, you will get a check. That's it. It's that simple. When you pay rent, you're paying for your landlord's vacation.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you pay your mortgage, you're investing in yourself.
And so when people talk about investing in real estate, that's essentially what they're talking about.
That is the first step.
That's the first step.
You do have people that flip homes or they wholesale homes. They'll find a house that needs a lot of work. They'll try
to renovate it.
Exactly. We're talking consumer level, because you're always going to have to pay to live somewhere.
Yeah.
Now you might as well pay yourself, right? Like pay your mortgage, sell the house eventually, and now you have some money rather than the money is just going out the window.
Phenom-ily, I hope you're listening. This is some amazing advice, and he's even giving tips on how to secure the bag, which is something that we are very, very passionate about. We have episodes, if you want to go back through and just listen to our episodes about securing the bag and not only making money, but of course budgeting your money well. So on top of all this money that Chris is giving you tips on how to get, we want to make sure that you keep that money and invest that money into your future. This is something that is awesome for your family. So listen in closely as we continue on how to get a house, how to keep your money, and how to make money as you're continuing to grow and do this adulting thing called buying a house.
So here's a question. When you bought your house, when you bought your first home, what are some mistakes that you made that you wish, knowing what you know now, you're like, you know what, going back, I'd probably change that?
Okay, silly things.
Okay.
Where does the sun rise and where does it set? Is the sun going to be beaming into our bedroom the entire day? Or is the sunset, is it going to be nicer for the temperature of the home? One thing you want to do if you're looking in a neighborhood at a specific house, check out that house at different times of the day. On the weekend, at night, in the morning, just to get a feel for the neighborhood, because you see the house, you like the house, but you're going to live in that neighborhood.
I like that. Go actually check out the house at different parts of the day.
Yeah.
So somebody's listening right now and they're like, you know what, Chris, I completely agree with you. I've got to get out of this situation I am in right now, renting. But I'm afraid of blank. And what are people afraid of? I think they'd be afraid of maybe their credit not being where it's
Correct.
at, or not having the cash, or so what are some? Could you speak to any of those fears that you've
Definitely.
either had in the past or you've seen people that you work with?
Well, we always fear the unknown, and we think our credit is worse than it is. But if we get the credit ran and we figure out where it's at and we know where we want it to be, we can have actionable steps to get there. If we don't have a plan, we plan to fail, because if you're doing the right thing, you're going to continue to get raises at work, right?
That's true. Yeah.
If you're renting, your rent is going to continue to be raised.
Yes.
But if you have a mortgage, it's locked in at that rate.
Ooh, that's good.
That is good.
So if you're renting and you're getting a raise, you're still going to be at that same level. You're never going to gain any momentum. But if you have a mortgage and it's, let's say, $800 a month, and you continue to get raises, your rent hasn't gone up, your mortgage won't go up. It's fixed. It's locked right there. So it allows you to maybe even put some more down, on your mortgage payment, or put more in the savings account, or have a higher quality of life, go on a vacation here and there.
So, phenomenal family, I hope you're listening, because the man how many of you out there have had your rent raised and you're upset, right? They raise your rent $25 one year, they raise the rent $50 the next year, and it's every year they show how much they appreciate you by raising your rent again and again and again. Listen, you don't have to live that lifestyle. Chris is telling us that you can have a mortgage that's locked in, and he's telling us that the process is much, much simpler. And I know you're probably thinking right now, it's great that you guys are talking to Chris, but how can we get in contact with a person like this that can, give us those tips? And he already let you know, you can go on Instagram, you can go on Facebook. If you live in the San Antonio area, and just to put you on the spot, is this the only area that you service, or can you do Austin or Dallas, or you like to stay in San Antonio?
I can do Austin and Dallas, but I prefer to specialize in San Antonio.
So if you are in San Antonio and you're listening to this, I need you to pull out a pencil and paper and write this website down. It's allcitysa.com. That's ALL. City, CITYSA.com, and that's going to be how you can reach Chris, and he can get you into the house that you need to. You should not be renting. If you're listening to this podcast right now, you're in San Antonio, Texas, shame on you if you're renting next year. Shame on you if you don't at least reach out to Chris and be able to share some time with him so that he can put you in a home that makes sense for you. And so we've talked about buying a home, but what about the process of selling a home? Because many people may fear that if I get a home, I got to stay there for 40 years because I got the mortgage, or
Yes.
locked in for 30 years or whatever it may be. Do I have to stay there the entire time?
Definitely not. You don't. The rough number is 5 years. After you've been in a home for 5 years, you have enough equity to sell it and profit something. Now, you do have a 30-year fixed mortgage. But you don't have to stay there for 30 years. The bank, all they want is their money back.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else that would lend you money. I just want my money back.
Yeah.
That's it, right? So you've been living in a home for a few years, and hey, you know what? I got to move because of my job, or hey, we need an extra bathroom, our family's growing, or hey, I really don't like this neighborhood anymore, and I want a bigger garage, or whatever the case may be. Now, you sell the home, you use that same realtor, maybe if they were good enough, right? You sell the home, the title company is going to make sure that the bank gets their money first, and then you get the lump sum after that. What my wife and I did personally was we used that lump sum. What my wife and I personally did was use the lump sum from the proceeds of the sale of our first home, and use that as the down payment for our bigger and better home, because we needed more bathrooms. Our family is growing. So we went from an $800 mortgage to an $1,100 mortgage. But the difference is like phenomenal. It's a phenomenal house. So Phenom-ily, I don't know. Phenom-ily, right? But it's awesome. It's like we used our old house to benefit and, secure the bag for the bigger and better house.
Yeah. So, and now this is something that I know many of our listeners, you fall into many different categories. Some of you are young, some of you are not. Some of you are black, some of you are not. Some of you are Christian, some of you are not. But we want to make sure this is helpful. But for the people out there who are a minority, or maybe they're black, what's something that you would want to personally tell them, maybe just about, and I'm not trying to get too deep here, but just, the history of home ownership for black people specifically, or minorities specifically. Are there some barriers there that we need to, should be aware of historically? Because I know there's things like gentrification. I know that there's, that redlining, or, back in the day where they wouldn't even give home loans to certain races of people, especially black people. Now it's 2020, and you have a young person who's listening to you right now. Like, what would you want to say to them to be like, in general, like, what would you want them to know, I guess?
Well, okay, that's all in the past, right? Like, it's illegal now to discriminate, but it's illegal to do a lot of things that happen. Me as a black man trying to make it in this world, trust me, I get it. I know there's roadblocks. Me personally, I don't care. Like, they're gonna be there, so should I just sit on my couch and give up? Nope. I'm worthy of this. I've earned this. I deserve this. This is my right. It's like, you know what? I am going to buy this house, and I am going to be your neighbor, and I'm going to be an awesome neighbor, right? Yeah. And you're not going to like it at first, and you're going to love it. Yeah. Right? Because when, maybe sometimes something happens and you need some help, guess what? You can knock on my door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would say don't let anything stop you. I mean, the world is here for our taking. Like, it's here. We can do it. Yeah. Like, things have been put in place to stop us. Now, if we let that stop us, they win. Now, who they are is up to you. Yeah. Right? But for me personally, you give me a challenge, you say, no, I can't do that, it motivates me even more. Yeah. And honestly, my neighbors love me. Yeah. They know, hey, if something happens, go talk to Chris. I'll be in the front yard washing my motorcycle, and personally, I'll be in a tank top just so people know, like, hey, if you're gonna try to do something anywhere around here, not at this house, right? Like, not this one.
For the Phenom-ily that can't see, Chris has muscles, so I think that's what.
Yeah, you can hear his muscles through the microphone right now.
I know you can. It's in his vocal cords.
It's in his vocal cords. Yeah,
it's in my DNA. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate it.
Okay, so here's a question that I think is interesting. People talk about making money with real estate, and we're talking about the consumer level, right? Yes. What are some tricks that you've seen people do, whether that's like duplexes or friends that may help pay rent, but they're really paying off the mortgage? Like, what are some success stories that are options for us if we buy a home, right, in our name, whatever, versus, that aren't available if we're renting? So, like, can you speak to any successes you've seen of people doing something out of the norm, but still profiting from real estate?
So if you are the friend with the good job, we all have them.
We all have that one friend with a steady job.
If you are that one friend, please listen. Buy a house. 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 4-bedroom, whatever the case may be. It can have an office as well. Get your friends to move in with you. They're going to help you pay your mortgage. Okay? Let's say you're charging them $400 a month. You can't get an apartment for $400 a month. So now you and your friends have a house, and you can party, you can come and go as you please. You have a garage if you have projects, and you have a backyard. And honestly, someone comes knocking on the door, hey, what's going on here? I need to speak to the homeowner. You walk up to the door and, yes, this is my home. How may I help you on my property? Now, let's say 5 years goes down, down the line, you decide you want to get married. You can then possibly move into your wife, fiance's home, or the homies have to go and you and your wife start your family in this home. But the whole thing is you're building equity currently. Yes. Right now. You're not wasting any time. You're not wasting money. You do not have to be married. You do not have to be 30, 40, 50 to own a home. Start now. If you are that friend with a good job, listen again. Buy a home. Have your friends help you pay your mortgage. You will thank me later.
Yes. And I know some of you may be thinking, man, this advice is really great. What was that website that he mentioned?
It's allcitysa.com. You can also find me on Facebook at allcitysa.com.
Yes. Awesome. So I want to go into first of all, a quick recap of just some of my big takeaways. First of all, number one, buy a home. I feel guilty right now because we're currently renting, but that may change here soon.
I'll do my best to help y'all out. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, no sweat.
So actually, before we go into last question, so some people may be afraid to talk to a realtor because they don't know if they're ready to buy yet. Do you have to pay to consult with the realtor?
No.
Is there like an upfront? And again, I think you probably mentioned this before, that the seller is the person who's paying for all of this. But starting that relationship and starting that conversation, that's all. We don't have to.
No, there's no obligation. You just be upfront with the realtor, and we're used to that. It's the name of the game. Like, hey, I can't help you now. I'll stay in touch with you until I can, and let the realtor know if you have friends or family that they can help. We're all in we're all in the business of helping people. That's it. Just because I can't help you today does not mean I won't want to help you later.
Yeah. So Phenomenal Family, we talked about the process of buying the home. He made it super simple. One of the takeaways that he said that we need to do is just start the conversation. Hop on Instagram, hop on Facebook right now and say, does anybody know of a realtor that could be able to start that conversation? And then we mentioned that we need to get in contact with, you said, the mortgage lender, correct? That the broker will get you in contact with the mortgage lender, and we'll find out what type of house we can afford, and then we go shopping. But there's no obligation up front at that point financially for you to start the conversation. We talked about the jargon that might exist, such as equity and what that means. And so we talked about that the equity is a simplified way of thinking about it, is that that's the money that you own in the home. That's the money that you can take out when you sell the house. That equity is built in. That's your bag that you're securing. We talked about how people make money from real estate and some ways that you can do that. If you're the friend with the good job, you need to buy a home and then maybe let your friends rent it, and then they're paying your mortgage. So that's a takeaway from there. We talked about the upfront cost. He said sometimes it's 3%, but you said there's even some grants that can help with that.
Correct.
And maybe offline we'll probably, if I can get some websites, maybe we look that up and put that inside of these show notes for this episode. We talked about the hidden cost of owning a home. We talked about renting versus buying a home. And then lastly, the selling process was simplified for us.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into some lightning round questions, and I think that'll be it for us today. We switched them up. Yeah. So he heard our lightning round questions when we interviewed Anthony O'Neill from the Dave Ramsey Solutions team. So we had to change them up just a little bit. But Dorian, I'll let you do the first one, and then we'll just go every other one. Yeah.
Okay. So, Chris, what was your favorite TV show growing up?
Oh, goodness. Thundercats.
Thundercats.
Panthro. You knew he was a brother, so, you know.
Okay. What song do you have on repeat right now?
Hustle and Motivate, Nipsey Hussle.
Okay.
Okay. So what's your favorite clothing accessory you have in rotation?
My boots. Currently, my boots, they're business casual. I do ride a motorcycle, and they are safe for that as well. So, like, they're dual purpose.
Cool.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if you're a book reader, you do audiobooks, but what's your favorite book right now, or one that's in the past that you've read? It's like, you know what, I'd read that again.
I am rereading it now, the autobiography of Malcolm X. My dad gave me that when I was young. And it's interesting rereading it because you learn different things, you know, as you get older and reread things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Does sugar go in grits?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Who's your mentor?
My mentor is Roy. My mentor is Roy Machado out of Sacramento, California. He's been helping me out since I was in high school and still to this day. Thank you, Roy. He's the one that, you know, got me into real estate. I am a small business owner already, and he saw what I was doing there, and I appreciate everything he's done for me.
Awesome. What's your favorite thing about your mentor?
His willingness to help me out and educate. Again, I met him when I was in high school, and still now I'm 38 now. And we're still in touch. And he leads by example, honestly. That's what I love about him, is I can see what he's doing and I can know it can be done. He's more of a, I'm going to show you how to do it type of guy. And I appreciate that.
I love it. And so the last two are a little lighter than that, a little lighthearted. If you could get rid of one food forever, what would it be?
Tomatoes. No, my bad. No, because I love ketchup. Oops, no. Okay.
That's quick.
Dang. You know what? Pickles.
Ooh.
I don't like pickles, personally, and I'll go to a restaurant or whatever, you know, drive through. All right, no pickles. Okay, awesome. But then, like, they'll put it on there, and once you bite into a pickle, like,
It's done.
it's messed up everything. The juices have seeped into everything, and it's just like, you know what? Never mind, I'm not hungry anymore. So pickles. Not cucumbers, just the pickles.
Just the pickles.
Okay, so if you could eat one food and it would help you lose weight
And gain muscle mass.
what food would you eat?
Cookies.
What kind of cookies?
Snickerdoodles.
Snickerdoodles.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep,
it's something
cinnamon
in the
and sugar.
cinnamon. Awesome.
Oh my
Definitely.
goodness. Chris, thank you so much for hanging out with us and the Phenomenal Family. I know you appreciate this episode. Again, if you're in the San Antonio area and you want to start that conversation, please reach out to Chris. Their website was allcitysa.com. And we promised you that over 45 minutes. We give you 45 tips to fortify the future of your relationship. And I think we did just that.
I think we did.
Yes. And you know, some of you are listening right now. You haven't left us a review on iTunes. We know who you are. We see you. We can see you in your car right now. You need to grab your phone and leave that 5-star review and be like, you know what? Chris killed it. You know, I love what they're doing on the podcast. You know, this isn't a guilt trip, but it totally is a guilt trip. No, we love you, phenomenal family.
Yes.
And until next time, see you later.
Bye.
Bye. What's up, podcast family? If you are listening to this right now, chances are me and my wife has said something to move your life forward. And so we're asking you to support the podcast that supports your marriage.
Yes. Also, we're asking you to support clean content.
Listen, if you want to hear more clean content in the world, you have got to support it whenever it's being published, whether that's movies, podcasts, whatever. So if you click the link in the description, you can gain access to premium episodes, more access to our family, and all the training courses that we have created just for you.
Yes, so go ahead and follow that link and get that. And we love you guys, and we hope to see you in the inner circle.
See you in the inner circle. Sounds spooky when you say it like that. The inner circle.
The inner sanctum.
One of us.
One of us. Ooh, the claw. She has chosen.
The claw. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
Bye.